The planet Zalara shone like a jewel in the galaxy. Its skies were painted with streaks of violet and silver, and its cities floated above crystal lakes that reflected the twin suns. The people of Zalara were proud, elegant, and powerful. The heart of their world stood the royal palace, where the alien king ruled with wisdom and strength. But even in the middle of beauty and power, Princess Liara felt restless. She was the only daughter of the king, known across the stars for her dazzling beauty. Her eyes glowed like molten sapphire, and her voice was soft like music. Many people admired her, yet she often felt trapped in her golden palace. Every meal was served with perfect precision, every day filled with lessons and duties. She had never tasted the outside world, never known anything beyond what the palace cooks prepared for her. Liara often stared at the skies and wondered what else was out there. She wanted something real, something different, something that belonged to her alone. One quiet evening, while she stood on her balcony, something strange entered her world. A starship appeared in the sky. It was not like any vessel of Zalara. It was rough in design, made of metals that looked worn from travel, with marks of age and fire upon its hull. The palace guards quickly sounded alarms. Bright shields rose above the city, and warships circled high above to protect the king and his people. The alien king came to the royal hall, his long cloak sweeping behind him. His advisors gathered nervously. "This ship is unknown," one guard reported. "It does not carry any galactic banners. We cannot identify its code." "Unknown means dangerous," another advisor said sharply. "We should destroy it before it comes closer." But Liara's heart raced in a different way. She pressed her hands against the crystal windows of the hall, staring at the strange vessel. She had never seen such a starship before. It looked alive with stories, like it had traveled through fire, storms, and endless stars. Her father raised a hand to silence the advisors. "No," the king said firmly. "We will not strike first. Let us see who dares to come uninvited." The ship lowered gently, its engines glowing a soft blue. It landed on the edge of the palace gardens near the wide silver gates. From within the ship, a figure emerged. It was tall, but not as tall as the Zellarans. Its skin was pale compared to their golden tones, and its hair was short and dark. The creature wore simple clothing and carried no weapons. He looked around carefully, his eyes wide with wonder. Gasps filled the hall. "It's a human," whispered one of the advisors in disbelief. The king's eyes narrowed. "Impossible. Humans are a minor race from a distant world. They should not even know of our realm." But there he was, one single human standing calmly in the middle of the royal gardens. Liara leaned closer against the glass. She had heard of humans only in stories, described as fragile and reckless, too wild to survive long in the wider galaxy. Yet this one looked different. He stood straight, his expression calm, as if he carried no fear. The guards rushed out, surrounding the human with glowing spears. But instead of panicking, the man raised his hands in peace. His voice was steady as he spoke in broken galactic speech. "I am Captain Alex," he said. "I mean no harm. I come in peace." The words echoed through the hall. Liara's curiosity grew sharper. She wanted to know why he had come, what stories he carried, and what secrets lay in that strange, weathered ship. The alien king gave the order for the human to be brought inside. Guards marched Captain Alex into the palace hall. He did not resist. His steps echoed on the crystal floors as he looked up at the tall golden pillars and glowing lights of the throne chamber. At last, he stood before the king. "You stand in the court of Zalara," the king said, his voice deep and commanding. "Few of your kind ever reach this far. Tell me why you are here." Alex bowed his head respectfully. "I was exploring, searching for safe worlds to chart. My ship guided me here by mistake. I did not mean to intrude on your realm." The advisors hissed in warning, but Liara noticed something unusual. The human's eyes did not waver when he spoke. He was nervous, yes, but he also carried honesty. Her father studied Alex for a long time. Then he spoke again. You are a stranger to us. Until I decide your fate, you will remain under watch in the palace. If you are wise, you will cause no trouble." The guard stepped forward, ready to escort him. Liara's eyes followed Alex as he was led away. Something about him stirred her heart. He was different from anyone she had ever met. He did not bow like a slave or tremble like a weakling. He stood as though he belonged anywhere in the galaxy, even here, in her father's court. That night, as the palace lights dimmed, Liara could not sleep. She thought of the human, of his calm voice, and of the strange ship that had carried him so far. She felt an unusual hunger inside her, not for the rich meals prepared by the palace cooks, but for something else. She wanted to know more, and so, while the guards patrolled the halls, Liara stepped quietly onto her balcony. From there, she could see the gardens where the human ship rested. A faint light glowed within the vessel. She wondered if the human was awake, if he was thinking of his home as much as she was thinking of him. For the first time in her life, the alien princess felt the beginning of the palace of Zalara was filled with endless luxury. Crystal tables sparkled with golden plates, and servants carried dishes made from rare fruits and shining meats. Yet Princess Liara sat quietly at her table, her hand resting on her cheek. She looked at the meal before her: steamed petals from the sky blossom tree, roasted beast tail seasoned with starlight salt, and shimmering nectar poured into a crystal cup. The food was perfect, crafted by the finest chefs in the kingdom. But Liara's heart was not moved. She lifted a fork and tasted one of the petals. It melted on her tongue, soft and sweet. Still, her hunger remained. She took a sip of the nectar, yet it felt empty. Her stomach turned, not with sickness, but with longing. It was not food she wanted. It was something different, something she could not name. The alien king sat at the head of the table, speaking to his advisors about the human visitor. Liara listened while pushing her food around on her plate. "The human is being watched closely," one advisor said. "He has shown no hostility. Still, we cannot trust him. Humans are unpredictable." "He should be sent away," another said sharply. "Their kind does not belong among us." The king raised his hand. "Enough. The human will stay until I am certain of his intent. We are rulers, not savages. We do not strike blindly." Liara's eyes flicked upward. She thought of the man they spoke of, Captain Alex. She remembered the way he had stood so calmly in the grand hall. His voice had been steady, not demanding, not fearful. Different. Her hunger grew stronger. That night, when the palace had grown quiet, Liara wandered through the gardens. She walked past glowing flowers and silver fountains, her soft gown brushing against the grass. Above her, the twin moons hung bright in the sky, and there it was, the strange human ship resting near the gates. Its lights glimmered faintly. Liara hesitated, her heart beating faster. She should not go closer. The guards would scold her. The king would be furious. Yet something pulled her forward. She stepped lightly across the garden stones until she reached the edge of the ship. Then she saw him. Alex was sitting on the steps of his vessel, holding a small metallic case. He looked tired but peaceful, his eyes lifted toward the stars. He seemed so different from the loud advisors and the proud nobles. Alone, he looked human, fragile, yet strong in a quiet way. When Alex noticed her, he quickly stood. "Princess," he said carefully, bowing his head. Liara's cheeks warmed. "You know who I am?" she asked softly. He gave a small smile. "It was not difficult to guess. You look like someone who belongs among stars, not guards." Her heart fluttered at his words. She had never been spoken to in such a way. But before she could reply, her stomach let out a small embarrassing sound. She pressed a hand against it, her face turning red. Alex tilted his head. "Are you hungry?" Liara hesitated. "I ate at the palace, but it feels empty. The food does not satisfy me." Alex's expression softened. He knelt and opened the small metallic case beside him. Inside were simple packets of earth food. Nothing grand, nothing glowing, just small bars wrapped in thin silver. He took one out and held it toward her. It's not royal food, just something I carry when traveling, but it fills the stomach. Liara looked at the bar suspiciously. It was plain, nothing like the shining dishes of Zalara. This is food? Alex chuckled lightly. On my world, yes. It may not look special, but it kept me alive through many journeys. She took the bar carefully, her fingers brushing his hand for the briefest moment. Then with a deep breath, she unwrapped it and took a bite. Her eyes widened. The taste was unlike anything she had known. It was simple, salty, and sweet at the same time, with a warmth that spread through her chest. It was not elegant, not sparkling, not painted with gold, but it was real. For the first time in a long while, Liara felt full. She closed her eyes and let out a soft sigh. This is wonderful. Alex smiled gently. Sometimes simple things are the best. Liara looked at him with curiosity. You carry this with you always? Yes, he said. Humans travel far, often through empty space. We need food that lasts, food that is enough. It may not look beautiful, but it keeps us strong. Liara held the bar close, taking another bite. It feels honest. The next few days in the palace passed quietly, but Princess Liara carried a secret smile. No one around her noticed, but she felt different. The taste of that strange human food still lingered in her memory. It was simple, yet it had filled her heart more than the golden banquets of Zalara ever had. She thought often of Captain Alex, the calm human with steady eyes and kind words. At night, when the palace slept, she found herself walking to the gardens hoping to see him again, and he was always there. Alex often sat outside his ship, polishing small tools or studying the sky with a little device that glowed with soft light. Whenever he saw Liara approaching, he stood respectfully, yet his smile was gentle, not forced like the bows of nobles. Princess, he greeted her one evening. Liara, she corrected softly. When we meet here, call me Liara, not Princess. Alex tilted his head with a small grin. Then you must call me Alex, not Captain. She laughed quietly. It was rare for her to laugh so freely. That night, she brought him a gift, a silver fruit from the palace gardens. Its skin shimmered with tiny lights like stars. This is a moon fruit, she explained. It is very sweet. Alex bit into it and his eyes widened. This is incredible. Liara giggled. Now you understand how I felt when you gave me your food. They began to exchange small gifts each night. Alex would bring her packets of human food, showing her how to unwrap and eat them. Some were crunchy, some chewy, some salty, some sweet. Liara tasted each with excitement, her eyes glowing with wonder. In return, she offered him fruits, glowing grains, and nectar from her world. One night, Alex surprised her with something different. He pulled out a small metal pan and a heating tool from his ship. From his supplies, he mixed together human spices with pieces of Zalaran moon fruit. He stirred carefully, letting the mixture sizzle and steam. What are you doing? Liara asked, leaning closer, her curiosity overflowing. Cooking, Alex said simply. Humans don't always eat food as it is. We change it, mix it, make new flavors. The smell rose into the garden air, rich and warm. Liara inhaled deeply, her eyes wide. When Alex handed her a small piece, she tasted it carefully, her face lit up. This is better than before. It is both sweet and sharp. I can feel the heat and the sweetness at the same time. Alex smiled at her joy. That's the magic of cooking. Sometimes you take simple things and turn them into something new. For a moment, Liara looked at him with quiet admiration. Your people. They know how to make life taste alive. They sat together under the glowing flowers, sharing the food he had cooked. Liara had never felt so free. She could talk without guards, without judgment, without her father's heavy eyes watching her. They spoke of their worlds. Liara told Alex about the floating cities of Zilara, where buildings hung in the sky by beams of light. She told him about the crystal rivers that sang when the winds touched them, and about her life in the palace. Endless duties, endless lessons, and endless rules. Alex, in turn, spoke of Earth. He described tall mountains covered in snow, oceans that stretched farther than sight, and forests filled with green life. He told her of small villages where people cooked food together over fire, and cities where music filled the streets. Liara's heart raced as she listened. She had never known such places could exist. To her, the universe had always seemed full of warships, alliances, and noble duties, but Alex spoke of laughter, adventure, and freedom. "Your world," she whispered. "It sounds alive. Not polished and perfect like mine. Alive." Alex nodded. "It is alive, and sometimes dangerous, but that makes it real." Their meetings continued night after night. Each time they shared more food and more stories. Liara grew braver, sneaking from her chambers without fear. She felt her hunger changing. It was no longer only for food. It was for this secret friendship, this new feeling that made her heart beat faster. But not everyone was blind. The palace staff began to whisper. Servants noticed the princess slipping out at night, her steps light but hurried. Guards saw faint shadows near the human ship. Suspicion spread like fire in dry grass. One evening, as Liara returned to her chambers with a soft smile, a hand caught her wrist. It was her maid, Tira, who had served her since childhood. Tira looked at her with worried eyes. "My lady." "What are you doing at night? People are talking. They say you meet the human." Liara froze. Her lips trembled, but she whispered, "Tira, please, do not tell anyone. He is kind. He is not dangerous." Tira bit her lip. "If the king discovers this, he will be furious. He may send the human away or worse." Liara lowered her gaze. "Then no one must know. Please, Tira, say nothing." Her maid sighed heavily but finally nodded. "Very well, my lady. I will protect your secret. But be careful. This is a dangerous path." Liara hugged her maid softly in thanks. But even as she returned to bed, her mind was full of Alex's voice, Alex's food, Alex's stories. In the palace, she was a princess, trapped by duty. In the garden with Alex, she was just Liara, curious, hungry, alive, and she knew, deep inside, that this secret friendship was only the beginning. The royal palace of Zilara was a place where nothing escaped notice. Servants whispered in the halls, guards reported every movement, and advisors kept sharp eyes on the smallest detail. So it was only a matter of time before the alien king discovered that something unusual was happening with his daughter. For several nights the king had sensed changes in Princess Liara. She seemed distracted during lessons, quiet at the dinner table, and at times her lips curved into a secret smile. It was unlike her usual calm, careful self. One evening, while the palace was filled with low music and the smell of rare spices, the king watched Liara closely. She hardly touched her food. Instead, her eyes seemed to glow with thoughts that carried her far away. "Liara," the king said suddenly, his deep voice echoing across the table. "Where do your thoughts wander these days?" Startled, she lifted her gaze. "Nowhere, father, I'm only tired." But the king's eyes narrowed. He knew his daughter well. Something was stirring inside her, something she tried to hide. That night, after Liara retired to her chamber, the king gave a quiet order to his most trusted guard. "Watch her. Do not disturb her, but tell me where she goes." The guard bowed and vanished into the shadows. Liara, unaware of her father's command, once again slipped from her balcony into the gardens. The night air was cool, carrying the faint glow of the twin moons. Her steps were light as she made her way to the human ship. As always, Alex was waiting. He had set up a small lantern beside him and was cutting pieces of fruit with a simple knife. When he saw her, his face lit with a warm smile. "Liara," he greeted. She smiled back. "Alex." She sat beside him, and soon they were sharing both food and stories again. Alex told her about storms on Earth, where water fell from the sky in endless sheets and lightning cracked open the heavens. Liara listened with wide eyes, fascinated. In return, she spoke about the crystal forests of Zilara, where trees sang when the wind touched them. Alex listened as though each word was precious. They laughed softly like old friends, unaware that hidden eyes were watching them. The king's guard hid among the trees, his gaze sharp. He saw the princess sitting close to the human, eating food from his hand, smiling with a joy she rarely showed inside the palace. Shock filled the guard's heart. He slipped away to report this at once. The next morning, the alien king summoned Liara to the throne room. She entered slowly, her head bowed, sensing the weight of his mood. The king sat tall on his throne, his golden crown glowing under the light. His eyes were stern, colder than she had ever seen them. "Liara," he said, his voice heavy, "you have been leaving your chambers at night. Do you deny it?" Liara's lips parted, but no sound came. At last she whispered, "No, father. I do not deny it." The hall filled with sharp gasps from the advisors. "And where do you go?" the king pressed. Her hands trembled at her side. For a moment she wanted to lie, but she could not. Her heart was too honest. "To the gardens," she said softly, "to meet the human." The advisors burst into angry shouts. "This is dangerous. She risks the safety of the throne. A human cannot be trusted." The king raised his hand and silence fell. His gaze stayed fixed on Liara. "Why?" he asked simply. "Why would you go to him?" Liara's throat tightened. Then she lifted her chin and spoke with quiet courage. "Because he is kind. Because he showed me something real. He gave me food that filled my heart, when all else tasted empty. He speaks to me as if I am not only a princess, but a person. He makes me feel alive." The king studied her carefully. Her words struck him harder than he expected. At last, he gave an order. "Bring the human to me." Moments later, Alex was escorted into the throne room by guards. He walked with steady steps, though he could feel the weight of the stairs upon him. He bowed his head respectfully before the king. "Your Majesty." The king's voice was low but firm. "Human, my daughter meets you in secret. Tell me why. Did you charm her? Did you seek to use her?" Alex raised his head, his eyes calm. "No, my lord. I never wished to harm her. I shared only my stories, my food, and my time. She came to me not because I asked her, but because she was curious. I respect her, as I respect you." The advisor scoffed, but the king held up his hand again. He studied Alex in silence. The human stood firm, showing no fear, no arrogance, only honesty. Finally, the king spoke. "You are bold to speak so plainly in my hall, many." After the tense meeting with the king, life in the palace continued, but things had changed. Princess Liara felt braver now. She no longer sneaked through the gardens in fear. She walked freely to meet Alex, confident in the quiet approval of her father. Alex, in turn, had become more comfortable in the palace. He studied the strange plants and fruits, learning their textures, tastes, and colors. The palace chefs watched him with curiosity, some skeptical, others amazed. One evening, under the glow of the twin moons, Alex brought a small metal tray to the gardens. On it were ingredients he had gathered from the ship and from the nearby palace gardens: moonfruit, sky blossom petals, sweet crystals, and a few spices from Earth. "I want to try something new," Alex said, laying out the ingredients. "A mix of your world and mine." Liara's eyes sparkled. "You want to cook for me again?" Alex nodded. "Not just for you, for everyone here. I think your people would like something different." Liara helped him gather more items. Together, they washed the fruits, cut the petals, and sprinkled the spices. Alex showed her how to combine them carefully, explaining why some flavors worked together and why others did not. When they were ready, Alex used a small heating tool to lightly roast the mixture. A warm, sweet, and slightly spicy aroma rose into the night air. Liara inhaled deeply, her stomach rumbling with anticipation. "Come on," Alex said, offering her a piece. "Taste it." Liara bit into the creation. Her eyes widened. This is amazing. The flavors, they are like music in my mouth. I've never tasted anything like this before." Alex smiled. That's the idea. Simple things from Earth and Zalara mixed together. You get something new, something unexpected. They continued experimenting night after night. Alex taught her how to roast fruits, how to mix spices, and even how to create a simple glaze with the sweet crystals from Zalara. Liara laughed and learned quickly, her fingers sticky with juices and sugar. Word of their experiments eventually reached the palace chefs. At first, they were suspicious. "A human is changing our palace food?" they whispered. "This is disrespectful," but curiosity won over fear. Some chefs began to watch from the shadows, amazed at the flavors Alex created. They marveled as Liara, the princess, worked alongside him with excitement and skill. Finally, the king decided to see the results for himself. He entered the gardens quietly one evening, watching the two of them working. Alex and Liara were so absorbed in their cooking that they did not notice him at first. The king cleared his throat. Both of them froze. You are mixing earth spices with our royal fruits?" he asked, his tone calm but firm. Alex bowed respectfully. "Yes, Majesty. I meant only to show your people that combining different things can create something wonderful. I have great respect for your culture and your cuisine." Liara stepped forward. "Father, please taste it. It is different, but it is good. You will see." The king studied them carefully. Then, with a small gesture, he allowed them to serve him a piece. He tasted it slowly, carefully. A pause followed. Then the corners of his mouth lifted slightly. "Interesting," he said softly. "This is unlike anything I have ever eaten. It is alive." Liara's eyes sparkled. "You like it, Father?" "I do," the king admitted. "It seems this human has taught us something." The advisors gasped. Some whispered. Others frowned, but the king waved them silent. "Continue," he said simply. "Let this be shared with the palace. If the flavors please our people, then it is worthy." Word of the new dishes spread quickly. Guards, servants, and even advisors tried the combinations of earth and Zalara ingredients. Gasps of surprise and delight echoed through the palace. Some were hesitant at first, unsure of the simple flavors mixed with alien fruits. But soon, smiles replaced their doubt. Liara watched with pride as the palace staff laughed and commented on the dishes. For once, the palace felt alive, filled with excitement and curiosity rather than rules and formality. Alex looked at her, smiling. "You did this, Liara. You shared something from your world with me, and together, we made something new. The palace. It has never tasted anything like this before." Liara's heart swelled. "We did it together. I feel proud. I have never felt this before." The king observed his daughter, standing among humans and Zelaran chefs, and realized something important. Liara had found her voice, her curiosity, and her courage. And the human Alex had shown them all that strength did not always come from weapons or power, but from creativity, kindness, and respect. That night, Liara stayed late in the gardens, tasting small pieces of fruit glazed with earth spices. Alex taught her a new recipe, a dessert that melted like starlight in the mouth. She laughed when she accidentally spilled some glaze on her fingers, and he gently helped her clean it. For Liara, every bite was more than food. It was freedom, friendship, and a taste of life she had never known. And for Alex, every smile she gave him, every laugh that echoed in the garden, was proof that kindness and curiosity could bridge worlds. As the twin moons reflected off the palace fountains, Liara knew that their adventure in cooking was more than a game. It was the start of something that could change the palace, her world, and perhaps even the way humans and Zelaran saw each other. For the first time in her life, the alien princess felt truly alive. The palace of Zalara had never been so alive. The chefs bustled with excitement, trying the recipes Alex and Liara had created. Guards whispered to each other about the unusual flavors, and even the advisors cautiously praised the new dishes. The golden halls were filled with laughter, surprise, and curiosity, a feeling the palace had rarely known. Liara walked among them, carrying a small tray of desserts she had made with Alex. Each bite was sweet, soft, and melting, sprinkled with a hint of earth spices. She smiled at the people tasting it, seeing their eyes light up with wonder. Alex followed her quietly, helping her place each tray. He looked at her with pride. "You have done something amazing, Liara. You have shared your world and mine together, and everyone can taste it." Liara blushed slightly. "We did it together. I never imagined that food could do this. Bring everyone together." Even the king watched from his throne, sitting quietly as he tasted one of the desserts. The flavors surprised him. The simple earth spices combined with Zelaran fruits created something magical, something alive. His eyes softened as he saw Liara laughing with the palace staff. "You have changed something here," he said finally, his deep voice calm but strong. "Not just the food, but the palace, the people, and even me." Liara's eyes shone. "Father, thank you for letting Alex stay, for letting me learn, and for trusting me." The king nodded. "I was cautious at first. Humans are unpredictable. But this one, he has proven himself honest, kind, and creative. Perhaps there is more to your world than I understood." Alex stepped forward and bowed deeply. "Your Majesty, it was never my wish to disrespect your palace. I only hope to share a little of my world, and in return I learned so much from yours." The king studied him for a long moment. Then he smiled faintly, a rare expression that softened the golden lines of his face. "You may stay as long as you are needed. But remember, a kingdom is not a single person's world. Respect is earned with every action." Alex bowed again. "I understand, Majesty. I will respect your world always." That night the gardens glowed under the twin moons. Lanterns floated above the fountains, reflecting in the water like stars in the sky. Liara and Alex walked together, carrying trays of small snacks for the palace staff. Liara glanced at him. "Do you miss your home?" she asked softly. Alex nodded. "I do. But my journey here, it has taught me more than I expected. I learned about courage, kindness, and friendship. I learned from you." Liara smiled, feeling warmth in her chest. "And I learned something too. Life is more than rules and gold and beauty. Life is in the simple moments, sharing food, sharing stories, sharing laughter." Alex picked up a small glowing fruit from the garden. "Here," he said, offering it to her. "A gift for you, from my world." Liara took it carefully. "Thank you. I will remember this forever." They ate together quietly, enjoying the peace of the moment. The palace around them had never felt so alive, so full of wonder. Soon it was time for Alex to leave. His ship needed repairs and restocking, and the journey back to Earth called him. Liara felt a tight knot in her chest. She had grown attached to the human who had shown her a world beyond the palace walls. On the day of his departure, the king summoned them both to the palace courtyard. The sun reflected off the crystal towers, casting rainbow colors across the marble floors. Guards and advisors stood at attention, but the king's eyes were kind as he looked at Alex. "You have done well," the king said. "You have honored our world and helped my daughter see life beyond gold and duty. For that I thank you." Alex bowed. "It has been an honor, Majesty. Your daughter, Liara, taught me much about courage and trust. I will carry this with me always." Liara stepped forward, holding a small tray of the desserts they had made together. "This is for you, Alex, a memory of our time here, a taste of Zalara, and of us." Alex smiled and accepted it. "I will treasure it," Then he turned to the princess. Liara, you taught me something too. That kindness can cross worlds. That even small actions like sharing food can change hearts. Liara's eyes shimmer,